Hey everybody, this is a piece by James P. Cannon. It's titled it's from The Fate of the Russian Revolution, Lost Texts of Critical Marxism, edited by Sean Matgamna. The footnote here says, this is the quote, official Trotskyist statement on the USA entering World War II from the Fourth International, January 1942. The Socialist Workers' Party, whose leaders had been indicted under the, quote, Smith Act for, quote, seditious conspiracy, and would eventually be jailed for sentences up to 16 months, chose to speak through Cannon to reduce the risk of the party as a whole being banned. This piece is abridged. We consider the war upon the part of all the capitalist powers involved, Germany and France, Italy and Great Britain, as an imperialist war. This characterization of the war was determined for us by the character of the state powers involved in it. They were all capitalist states in the epoch of imperialism, themselves imperialists, oppressing other nations or peoples, or satellites of imperialist powers. The extension of the war to the Pacific and the formal entry of the United States and Japan changed nothing in this basic analysis. Following Lenin, it made no difference to us which imperialist bandit fired the first shot. Every imperialist power has for a quarter of a century been, quote, attacking every other imperialist power by economic and political means. The resort to arms is but the culmination of this process, which will continue as long as capitalism endures. This characterization of the war does not apply to the war of the Soviet Union against German imperialism. We make a fundamental distinction between the Soviet Union and its, quote, democratic allies. We defend the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union is a worker state, although degenerate under the totalitarian political rule of the Kremlin bureaucracy. Only traitors can deny support to the Soviet worker state in its war against fascist Germany. To defend the Soviet Union, in spite of Stalin and against Stalin, is to defend the nationalized property established by the October Revolution. That is a progressive war. The war of China against Japan will likewise characterized as a progressive war. We support China. China is a colonial country, battling for national independence against an imperialist power. A victory for China would be a tremendous blow against all imperialism, inspiring all colonial peoples to throw off the imperialist yoke. The reactionary regime of Chiang Kai-shek, subservient to the, quote, democracies, has hampered China's ability to conduct a bold war for independence, but that does not alter for us the essential fact that China is an oppressed nation fighting against an imperialist oppressor. We are proud of the fact that the Fourth Internationalists of China are fighting in the front ranks against Japanese imperialism. None of the reasons which oblige us to support the Soviet Union and China against their enemies can be said to apply to France or Britain. These imperialist, quote, democracies entered the war to maintain their lordship over the hundreds of millions of subject peoples in the British and French empires. To defend these, quote, democracies means to defend their oppression of the masses of Africa and Asia. Above all, it means to defend the decaying capitalist social order. We do not defend that, either in Italy and Germany, or in France and Britain, or in the United States. The Marxist analysis, which determined our attitude toward the war up to December 8, 1941, continues to determine our attitude now. We were internationalists before December 8th. We still are. We believe that the most fundamental bond of loyalty of all the workers of the world is the bond of international solidarity of the workers against their exploiters. We cannot assume the slightest responsibility for this war. No imperialist regime can conduct a just war. We cannot support it for one moment. We are the most irreconcilable enemies of the fascist dictatorships of Germany and Italy and the military dictatorship of Japan. Our co-thinkers of the Fourth International and the Axis nations and the conquered countries are fighting and dying in the struggle to organize the coming revolutions against Hitler and Mussolini. We are doing all in our power to speed these revolutions. But those ex-socialist intellectuals and labor leaders, who in the name of, quote, democracy, support the war of the United States imperialism against its imperialist foes and rivals, far from aiding the German and Italian anti-fascists, only hamper their work and betray their struggle. The Allied imperialists, as every German worker knows, aim to impose a second and worse Versailles. The fear of that is Hitler's greatest asset in keeping the masses of Germany in subjection. The fear of the foreign yoke holds back the development of the German Revolution against Hitler. Our program to aid the German masses to overthrow Hitler demands, first of all, that they be guaranteed against a second Versailles. When the people of Germany can feel assured that military defeat will not be followed by the destruction of Germany's economic power and the imposition of unbearable burdens by the victors, Hitler will be overthrown from within Germany. But such guarantees against a second Versailles cannot be given by Germany's imperialist foes. Nor, if given, why would they be accepted by the German people? Wilson's 14 points are still remembered in Germany, and his promise that the United States was conducting war against the Kaiser and not against the German people. Yet the victor's peace, and the way in which the victors, quote, organized the world from 1918 to 1933, constituted war against the German people. The German people would not accept any new promises from those who made that peace and conducted that war. In the midst of the war against Hitler, it is necessary to extend the hand of fraternity to the German people. This can be done honestly and convincingly only by a workers' and farmers' government. We advocate the workers' and farmers' government. Such a government, and only such a government, can conduct a war against Hitler, Mussolini, and the Mikado in cooperation with the oppressed peoples of Germany, Italy, and Japan. Capitalism can offer no prospect but the slaughter of millions and the destruction of civilization. Only socialism can save humanity from this abyss. This is the truth. As the terrible war unfolds, this war will be recognized by tens of millions who will not hear us now. The war-tortured masses will adopt our program and liberate the people of all countries from war and fascism. In this dark hour, we clearly see the socialist future and prepare the way for it. Against the mad chorus of national hatreds, we advance once more the old slogan of socialist internationalism: workers of the world, unite. The end. Thanks for listening.